Hello, and many thanks for joining the Tuesday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the program, PDP BOT set up committee to pick consensus candidates, presidential candidates, as Atiku begs Lamido to step down for him. El Rufai says he will have to sell his house to buy nomination. Attorney General says 70% of prison inmates are awaiting trial. And later on the show, IG vows to sack SAS men, checking suspects' account details. I'll be hanging out with Asukwa James, Wahid Bakari, and Wale Adeoye. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Many thanks for always joining us. The choice of direct, indirect, or consensus mode of electing candidates for the 2019 elections are becoming a banana peels that may slip parties into crisis. The All Progressive Congress, APC, is already facing backlash effects after opting for the direct primaries. The main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, is about to test the political troubled water with its own verdicts. Chairman of the party's BOT, that's Board of Trustee, Wale Jubril, said they have set up a committee to discuss the possibility of a consensus presidential candidate. This is already preparing the ground for a royal rumble in the PDP. Some presidential aspirants, like former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Senate President Bukola Saraki, and former Kano State Governor Rabiu Musa Kwakwanso, have expressed readiness to go for a primary. I'm aware that the People's Democratic Party, Wale Adeoye, they fixed their presidential primaries, I think, on the 5th and 6th of October. Yeah. And from what I gathered, it's going to be the normal indirect primary, that is the delegate system. Yeah. And maybe they will have to converge on the Eagle Square in Abuja and to choose among the 14 bigwigs. But what the BOT is saying here is that we cannot afford to go into this kind of primary with 14 aspirants. The acrimony that comes with this, even the resources, even the time, even everything that comes with 14. If it's possible, you know, some of you or some people might have to step down for another, so that at least if we leave just 4 aspirants to slug it out at the end of the day. But somebody like Jonah Jank, the former governor of PDP, Plateau State, is saying, I bought the form, I bought the nomination form, and nobody's going to tell me, because I'm qualified, I'm eligible, that I'm not going to step down. From what we are looking at here, what will this portend for the People's Democratic Party?
Well, I think the leadership of the PDP has seen the potential consequences of going to that primary with that large number of presidential hopefuls. And I think it has devised a means to say that, look, let us go for consensus candidate. In the first place, it's constitutional. It's either you have direct, indirect, or consensus candidate. And I also think it has its own advantage. It minimizes cost, and also it minimizes friction. Because if the candidate emerges out of rigorous negotiation, you know, of give and take, you know, there is a potential that you are not going to have much crisis, unlike when you go to direct primary or indirect primary. But I think the PDP should now realize that this is a big hurdle, that how it crosses that hurdle will determine its fate. We have our 14 presidential aspirants, virtually with essentially driven by different ambitions. How the party is going to manage this presidential primary is going to determine the future of the party. Because even when you are talking about negotiation, PDP will be negotiating from a position of weakness. You know, if you are the party in power, you can offer offices for presidential candidates that are going to lose either through consensus or not.
Yeah.
But in this case now, you are not in power. So there is a limit to which you can give concessions to all the aspirants. So I think from what we are seeing, in PDP, whether the party is going to survive as a viable opposition will determine, will be determined by the product of the primary that comes up in early October. But whatever mayor that the party leadership is going to adopt, I think there is no way the party will be able to avoid a serious pitfall after the primary. But we are all waiting anxiously to see what is going to happen.
Wahid, when you look at the galaxy of stars that's, in PDP, in 2015, people like Bukola Saraki, people like Kokonso, people like Atiku Abubakar, they used to be in APC. They were in the APC in 2014 for that primary that produced President Muhammadu Buhari. And a lot of people will tell you that, look, once you just remove President Muhammadu Buhari from the APC, from the equation, the APC is like, they might not be able to get the needed popularity to win a presidential election. But what we are seeing in the PDP, we are seeing people that are equally formidable. And people like the Senate President, he has come out to say that, look, it is the turn of the North Central. Atiku Abubakar is saying that, look, people should just give him that opportunity. And we've been seeing all these aspirants, they've been going around the country. But what do you make of the present situation of the People's Democratic Party? We have just some days for the close of the nominee to submit candidates list.
Like you rightly observed, there's no doubt about it that they have galaxy of stars, among the aspirants. But if you look at it, as we are seated here, based on our experience, as far as policies is concerned in Nigeria, if we are asked to pick the best three that are likely to emerge, I don't think it will be difficult for us to say this person may be the first.
Can you help us out?
No, I don't want to mention names.
Because
the reason is that if you look at the list, there are some of them that they cannot get it. It's almost certain they won't get it. It's not as if they are not popular, but going by the by the number of aspirants that we have, you can say, oh, this person is not likely to get it. They are just there to add to the number. But there is a big problem in the sense that, how do you now arrive at a consensus? If you look at the list of the aspirants, you discover that there are some of them that this is perhaps the last chance they are likely to have. Because if they are asked to wait for the next 4 years...
former Vice President,
if they are asked to wait for the next 4 years, age is not likely to be on their side. Perhaps the thinking...
Some of them will even tell you that apart from age, geopolitical zone,
there are so many factors that will work against them. So they are seeing this as the last opportunity. So I don't know the method the party wants to use to arrive at a consensus. But if they can find a way around it, fine. I foresee a situation whereby after the primary, I foresee a situation whereby at least one or two aspirants is likely going to want to test his popularity elsewhere in another party.
Yeah.
There is no way they want to fold out theirs, because some of them have already said that if there is guaranteed that the process that will throw up whoever emerge as the candidate is free, fair, enough. But who determines what is free? Who determines what is fair?
It favors you. It favors you. It's free.
What I consider to be free and fair, the next person will say no, it's not free and fair. So it is subject to individual's interpretation, and that is where the problem will be. If they are able to find a way around it, good for them. But if not, I don't think it will be difficult for them to arrive at a consensus. Because what are the criteria they are going to use in saying this person should step down? Another thing they can do is that they can easily prune down the numbers if each individual, like Atiku did by talking to Lamido to step down for him. If he was able to convince some of them to step down, maybe if you have a manageable number among the aspirants, it may be a bit easier compared to the number that we have now, which is 14.
Asuko, when you want to look at this, it's going to be difficult to tell anybody to step down. Bukola Saraki said, why don't you allow people to just go for the primaries and let's go and test our popularity at the end of the day? Because if an Atiku is telling Lamido to step down. Lamido served as governor for 8 years. Lamido is a founding father of that particular party. He was one of the, yeah, he has remained. He has never moved. So it was one of the people that wrote to Abacha, the G34 that formed the People's Democratic Party. So I will look at it, and he's also a Northerner that is eminently qualified.
Exactly. Even from what I also gathered, Lamido has also replied. He said there is even an article that is supposed to step down for him, because when he was in politics, Atiku was an employee in Nigerian Customs Service. You know, because he started politics as a House of Rep member in 1979. Wow. And Atiku then was an employee in the Nigerian Customs. So they are all, if you look at all the gladiators in the PDP, they are qualified. As a Nigerian, they are qualified to seek the #1 position. But it is left for the people, the PDP, to decide who. And just like Saraki was saying, that they should, you know, that is the turn of the North Central. From what I know, the PDP has not micro-zoned it, the whole thing. They just said it's going to the north, but they've not decided if it's northwest or north central or northeast. So it means that they are trying to throw open, you know, the race. Yep. So anybody that comes in, fine. But I am happy because 3 of them are saying that they really want this to be a fair contest. And I think it would be better for the PDP, being an opposition party, to test their own popularity, their own integrity as well, in trying to bring back internal democracy, in that let them allow people to decide rather than going for the consensus candidate. Yes, we know that it's going to be difficult, and that is why I think the BOT is trying to bring out, if I were to be a member of the BOT, I would insist on bringing the internal democracy and bringing all the candidates together and saying, please, and even signing document that once you lose, remain in the party. We have a target. Since they have a target, they can all come together and fight the target, and fight the battle together. But if they now say they want to go for the consensus candidate, it will be very, very difficult. Because if Atiku does not get the ticket, for instance, it's a big problem. Because look at, he has a war chest, a massive war chest. If you look at all of them, you understand what I mean. If Saraki does not, Saraki also has his followers. If Kwankwaso does not, he has massive followers. So they'll all have followers that the PDP cannot afford to lose, this major battle. So the best thing is, for me, if I were to be in that BOT, I would want internal democracy, because it is from there that people will now know, okay, this is the born-again PDP. Look at when the APC came. Sure, they did primaries and everybody saw it in Lagos here, indirect primaries, and everybody saw what happened, you know. Whether it was, to some people it was free, whether it was not free, but we saw it. We heard it live. So the PDP can also want to bring themselves back by saying, okay, we are going for the indirect primaries or the direct primaries. If the direct primary might be so cumbersome for them, so they can go for the indirect primaries and allow all these gladiators to test the waters. So that from there, anybody that comes out, people will now know that, yes, this is the new PDP. Can we give them a chance? If not, you know.
Well, a lot of the leaders of PDP, I'm sure they will be looking at who we are going to present that can give President Buhari a run for his money or to defeat President Buhari outrightly. And they won't want internal wrangling to affect that prospect for them in 2019.
Well, I think that should be part of the major considerations. A candidate that is inspiring, a candidate that has a very strong base, a candidate that has national appeal, a candidate that can galvanize public support, and then some level of credibility. But as it is, I think it's really going to be a very difficult thing, especially when you want to use consensus. Because what is going to be the criteria for choosing how many people, BOT members that want to decide that, okay, on the basis of this, we want to choose a consensus candidate. And then when you use consensus, what will be the feeling of other aspirants?
And somebody defined consensus that nobody must disagree.
Yeah, it also
that's in the process of consensus.
Yes.
Like what the publicity secretary of APC, the press release sent yesterday, that in some states that they are saying they have consensus candidates, but we have a situation whereby people are coming on TV to say, no, I still want to pick my crumbs.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So if there's any disagreement, of consensus. So if there's any disagreement, they have to still go back.
So, and you see, sometimes the perception of members
everybody must agree for consensus.
Yes. The perception of members of BOT might not be the perception of the majority of PDP members. So you can decide and say, okay, we want to pick this particular candidate based on consensus. That the other party members may not agree. But I think looking at one of their strongest candidates, that's Kwakwaso, there are also going to be major challenges. Because in Kano State, where it comes from, there is no way you will not admit the fact that there is a formidable force represented by the governor of that state, and also Ibrahim Shekarau. So I think it's really going to have...
not be able to deliver.
Yes, it's going to be a contentious field between him, Ganduge, and also Ibrahim Shekarau. So we can't say that because Kwakwaso is very popular in the Northwest, then automatically he emerges as the most formidable candidate that can, confront...
Would they be looking at, choosing somebody from the Northwest?
Yeah, I think...
To be able to slice the votes of...
I think that appears to be their strategy. That if you pick somebody from the Northwest, it will, where the president comes from, then it's going to divide, the home base, of the president. But I think there are also considerations that has to be, that we have to bear in mind. That even in that Northwest, apart from Buhari, we have Ibrahim Shekarau, we have the current governor of Kano State. No matter how popular a governor is, definitely you must admit that he also has his own followers. So even if they are going to pick Kwakwaso from Northwest, they must also contend with other variables and other challenges that is going to make it very difficult for them to defeat Buhari in that field.
Someone like Governor Dakwambo is still in the race, and somebody like Governor Tambuwa. And we discovered that some of these people were actually said to, they have plan B, getting a governorship ticket and at the same time getting a presidential, picking a presidential form. How does this work?
I think it will be a political suicide for some of them not to have plan B. Like I said, which I want to reiterate, that if you look at the list, there are some of them that no matter what, they can't get it. They know that they won't get it. They just want to test the waters, to test their own popularity, So for politicians like that, they will always have plan B. I can't imagine somebody like Saraki, not doing anything, not being active politically in the next 4 years. For instance, if he loses at the primary, will he not participate in politics?
Tambuwa that is a first-time governor.
Tambuwa that is a first-time governor. He will still want to go back and do the second term, thinking that maybe after doing the second term, he will have been matured politically enough, for him to go for presidency the next time. So I don't foresee a situation whereby somebody like Tambuwa will say, okay, if I can't make it.
Let me quickly pick this caller. Nathaniel is calling from Edo State. Thank you so much for joining us, Nathaniel. Oh, Nathaniel is gone. So
I don't see a situation whereby somebody like Tambuwa will say, okay, if I can't get the presidency, let me just go back home and sit down. Doing what in the next 4 years? When he has the opportunity of going for second term. There is even this rumor, I don't know if it is true, that some of them have gone ahead to get nomination forms
from other parties.
From other parties, or even from within PDP, seeking for another elective post outside the presidency, that they only did that by proxy. How far it is true, nobody knows. But I want to believe that there is no way they will fold their arms and allow 4 years to just go like that, without doing anything.
Asuko, when you look at it and you want to give me first three, hopeful. Project.
I'm not projecting. I'm not projecting. Before the social media guys will come at me and say, okay, they have bought you. So let the PDP decide the delegates. Whether they want the consensus, the BOT guys, whether they really want the consensus to go ahead. But I can give you the first 5, but I won't do that Let the people decide.
You are not doing my viewers any favor.
No.
You are not able to say, look, I'm sure that Jonah Jang is not going anywhere. No. Like me, if you ask me, I'll tell you.
No, but if I'm to go with the first five, I know they are going to be on the first five if they want to decide. I know Atiku, Saraki, Kwankwaso, Tambawa should be there. And maybe Sule Lamido or Dan Kwambu, any of the two, let them be there. So that we have a very keen
If I ask you to give me first five, you give me first five. Don't say or.
No, that's I have
to. All right. For politicians, the end to the means employed in electoral contests is what matters, not the means itself. So, whether a particular move is novel or not matters not to politicians as far as it brings results. Aftermath of President Muhammadu Buhari announced his inability to obtain his presidential nomination forms due to high costs, other politicians have followed suit. Governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasiru El-Rufai, has cried foul over exorbitant price of the APC nomination forms. He said he will have to sell his house to raise 20 million naira to purchase the form. But he's lucky to have some benevolent spirits crack his kernel for him. Are politicians now too poor to buy their nomination forms? When I saw this yesterday, I immediately said, this is ridiculous. Because Nasir El-Rufai told us that he doesn't have 20 million naira in his account.
And he called his GT account.
He called his GT account. He said we need to sell his house to raise money for nomination from gentlemen. A governor is entitled to salary, first 4 years, allowances, outstation allowance, entertainment allowance. Sometimes they earn per diem. They go outside the country and earn per diem in foreign currency. And a lot of people will even argue further that there's this slush security votes that nobody will ask you how unaccounted for. So what are we talking about here, gentlemen?
Well, when I read that, I think my reaction will be like any other Nigerian. It will be very difficult to believe that a sitting governor cannot raise 22.5 million.
22.5 million.
Yeah,
how much is that in dollars?
By three.
Need to calculate that.
Yeah, okay.
And not only that, a former minister, who was minister.
DG Bureau of Public Enterprises. Yeah.
So,
Minister of FCT.
For an average Nigerian, it will be very difficult to say, how come you don't have... but generally speaking, if you ask me, is it possible for a governor not to have 20 million naira in his own personal account? It is possible. It is possible. But then, if you ask the question, can a governor use his goodwill to raise 100 million naira? Of course. Within a very short period, And I don't think the governor will convince anyone that it's not worth more than. So having the money in your account is a different thing about your assets and your worth. So, but I think for what we are reading this evening, some people have contributed the money, to pay for the 22.5 million naira for him to buy the nomination form. So at the end of the day, he has bought that form, whether it's his own personal money or it's the money that belongs to Prozis or Rookies. So he has bought the form, and I think that money was raised for him, either through whatever means. So the fact of the matter is that the governor has bought that form and he has paid that money. But I think it's quite, there are a lot of moral issues that are tied around this issue of paying 20 million naira, 22 million naira just because we want to become. It means that a lot of poor people, vulnerable people will not be able to aspire, irrespective of how knowledgeable they are, irrespective of the level of their credibility, irrespective of their skill in even administration. So it means that aspiring to be the governor of a state is more or less becoming the exclusive preserve of the rich people, which I think is not good for our democratic values.
The American man will say, tell that to the Marines. Well,
They have other political parties.
Yes.
now, I want to ask that of Mr. President. In 3.5 years, Mr. President is claiming, or Mr. President cannot afford 55 million naira.
Well, the truth is that if we are talking about the legitimate earnings
Yes.
of either the president or the governor,
Okay.
it will not be a surprise if they don't have that kind of money in their account. How much do they earn? But we all know that
From the revenue mobilization
of
allocation.
course, we are talking about. That's why I said. That's why I said.
Close to 2
No,
million.
that's why I said. From the 2 million, you feed yourself. You do some other things.
No.
Hold on. I
free
know.
of charge.
I know. But if you are talking about
Once you're in the villa, you don't
wait,
use your money to buy
I know.
nothing.
If you are talking about the legitimate earnings, I want to insist that they will not be able to raise that money. But we all know that this one is just continuation of the populist agenda that politicians are fond of playing from time to time. You know, just to give us the impression that they are man of the people, they cannot afford this. You know, it has to be some people that will buy for them. You know, I don't think it is true anyway. You know, who knows? Maybe they are the one that even give us the money to their proxy. So you people come under the guise of a particular group and buy this form for me. You know, unfortunately for them, they don't realize the fact that a lot of people are just making jest of them. This one will come out to say, oh, a group came together, they bought this one for me. Another person will say, this group came together to buy this one for me. You know, it doesn't hard up if you look at it very well. So that's the way I see it.
The trick is getting old.
Yes, now it's like an old trick right now because it's like all of them are now using one group or the other for them to, you know, buy these forms. These forms, we know that they are not cheap, but they are cheap for most of these our politicians. Ekwere Madu said a group actually bought. Atiku was crying the other day, he was weeping that a group actually bought and he was weeping. You know?
He was touched.
I thought that a group bought form for him. You know, Ganduje yesterday too, a group also bought for him. Not to talk about our president. You know, Niger State governor, the same thing. So if we keep going, so everybody will just turn to group and will begin to buy funds for politicians.
In a short period.
I think for them,
in a short period, they will raise the money and pay the
everybody. So every group will just come, will start buying. As bad as these things are, we are still saying that groups are gathering to buy funds for politicians. How you look at it now?
You know, for them, it's a moral issue. It's a moral issue for them. They are finding it difficult.
When you look at APC and PDP, the kind of money they are going to make this season.
You know, that is where I'm, you know, that's another thing.
360 House of Rep members and
as a political party.
From different constituencies, people who want to buy forms.
Exactly.
Senate,
you know, and that's why they are not rejecting anybody for now. So everybody that wants to come and buy. The forms are there. So the printers are making money printing these forms, and people are coming to buy form. So they will just buy that form, maybe 22.5 for governorship, you know, for APC. PDP, I think, is 10 million or thereabout. You know, for the president, it's only the Buhari that has bought his own 55 million.
No, 45 million. I think it was reduced.
Okay, they reduced it to 45 now. So he's the only one. So that is the only place they will see money because I'm not sure anybody wants to, you know, contest with the president. You know, so every other thing. So, but I see this as a psychophancy at its height. Because if you look at it, these people, you can't tell me that these governors, they don't earn more than what they are saying. If I believe I want to come back for the next 4 years, and I want to believe that I want to get something, I'll start to save. I'll start to save for it. You understand what I mean? Oh, I'm earning 2 million in a month. Okay, I want to be governor in 4 years. I can be saving 1 million. You can even do a job. You understand? Wait,
I want to say what you are saying.
No,
if
wait.
you know the quantum of money these people have access.
That's the mistake they are making.
That's what I'm saying, that they cannot hoodwink us to say that those groups are the ones that are giving out this money. Because we know that these governors earn more than what they are telling us that they don't have money in one group. How can you say you want to sell your house for you to buy a form of 22?
Okay, I have Pius. Pius is calling from Osho State. Thank you for joining us, Pius.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Pius.
Good evening. You guys are doing a wonderful job there.
Thank you, Pius.
And I hope Babajide is okay. He's not on the show today.
Very okay.
All right. Concerning the consensus candidates of the PDP, I want you to know that if truly these aspirants are representing the interest of the electorate, the Nigerian, the poor masses, then it shouldn't be difficult for them to bury their interest and then come up with a consensus candidate. But the fact is just that they are after their own, selfish interest. That is why it's going to be difficult for them to step down. You can imagine having 14 aspirants under PDP alone. I think if care is not taken, it's going to be another ballgame entirely for PDP this time around. And they might not be able to survive it like they did the first time.
Thank you, Pius.
For people buying tickets, I mean, form for governors and presidency, I don't want to believe they don't have the money.
Okay. All right. Well, gentlemen, I'll take home from this. When we look at the APC that's actually said they were coming to, correct what PDP has done wrong in the last 16 years. And if the APC will sell its own, their own presidential nomination form for 45 million. And the PDP, I think, is it 12?
It's less, so their own is
less.
It's 12 million for
12 million. So we can see the example that the APC is setting, gentlemen.
I think it is deliberate. They did that just to scare away other aspirants.
But how about the other kidda?
Because
governorship.
No individual want to put his money in a contest we are not sure of. What's the guarantee? Why do you have to waste 45 million naira, 22 million naira to get a nomination for in a country where fair election is not something you can easily come by. The power of incumbency and other factors, we return the man, which at the end of affairs, to the same seat. So why do you have to come out and waste your own money?
There was a time in APC, forms were free for female aspirants.
Just
so what happened?
And the youths are not in this equation
yes,
at all.
Yes.
They're not in this equation. Where would they get this?
Where are you going to get the money from?
All right, we have to leave it like that. Still to come, Attorney General says 70% of prison inmates are waiting trial. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Still Journalist Hangout. It's said that no one truly knows a nation until one has been inside its jails. How a country's prison system serves as a reformation center is key to how it values human lives. Nigeria's Attorney General and Minister of Justice, that's Abubakar Malami, painted a gloomy picture of what our prisons look like during a visit to Benin Kebbi prisons in Kebbi State. Malami described the situation where inmates awaiting trial constitutes 70% of the population in that particular, across the country. It's also saddening to know that most of the figure belong to the younger generation. Malami called for an urgent action and need to adopt a non-custodial measures in our judicial system. Wow. Wale?
Well, I think this is a very serious problem. But in the first place, I think we don't have the accurate figure of the number of people that are awaiting trial. Because there have been conflicting figures. Sometimes we had, it's 80%. Sometimes they tell us it's 66%. Sometimes 70%. In fact, figures from Prawa, independent civil society organization working in on prisons, prison reforms. Those figures are quite different from what we are getting from the federal government. But I think we must realize that the prison system is linked to the justice system. It's also linked to the rule of law. So if you have a situation where, in fact, it links to social order in the society. If you have a situation where 72,000, according to them, are in Nigerian prisons, and then 47,323 are waiting trial, that is just too bad. And out of this number,
take that figure again.
72,000 are people in prison. Then 47,323 are those that are waiting, which gives about 70-something%, of the inmates. You see, the other thing is that there are people that are not in prison who are also who are waiting trial. Either they are detained by DSSS or some other security organization. So that figure is not correct. But it raises a very serious problem about our justice system. That when you have, for instance, look at Port Harcourt that was built in 1918, built to accommodate 800 people. There has been very little...
Port Harcourt prison?
Yeah, Port Harcourt prison, since 1918, built to accommodate just 800 people. Today, there have been very little reforms, yet you have 5,000 inmates in Port Harcourt prison. 5,000.
Are you kidding me?
Yes, out of this number.
For a facility,
yes, that is
designated for 800 people.
800.
And out of this, we have about 3,700 that are waiting trial. So I think it brings it to sharp focus the need for fundamental reform of the justice system, of our prison system. We have to look at whether the prison should actually be in the exclusive list. Should it be the prerogative of the federal government to manage the prison? In the U.S., there are states, have the state managed prison. Why must it be the federal government? Since 1871, that we started the prison system in Nigeria, it has always been the federal system. And if you look at other countries, there have been so many reforms where states, manage prisons. Even in some countries, you have private prisons, so that to accommodate, to decongest, the normal legitimate prisons, there are private prisons that accommodate people. People and also carry out a lot of reforms, mental reforms, psychological reforms, sociological reforms. But in Nigeria, you find that when people are taken to prison, they become more hardened. And that is why when they come out, at the end of the day, about 6 months later, they are back in the prison. So it's a kind of, a circle, a vicious circle where, people are released, then they go back to that prison. People are never reformed. Most hardened criminals are made from our prison system instead of them being reformed. So what we have seen here is raises a very serious problem. I think the National Assembly should show, they should show interest in this, focus on this issue and see how we can reform the prison system to create more order, in the society that we live today.
They call it correction center in maybe in the US and some other parts of the world. And when you look at if he's painting a picture that out of a facility designed for 800 people and you have 5,000 habitats and you see the way these people are, they come out at the end of the day, they don't come out reformed.
Well, the gloomy picture that the Attorney General painted is not new. The first time I saw something like this was 2001. I went on a prison visitation with some members of the NBA. I was in Ibadan then, Oyo State, and I saw a boy. The boy was around 15 or 16. He had been in that detention facility for about 15 months as at that time. What was his offense? The guy is a Yoruba boy. So a boy who happens to be his junior now called him name. He ran after him and he wanted to grab the boy. And the boy slipped and hit his head on the concrete, and the boy died. So because of that, they now charged that boy for, without considering his age, it became the situation became worsened in the sense that the parents of the boy who died said they don't want to do any case with as far as the matter is concerned, that they should allow, but the police, they refused to allow the boy to go. How can you keep a 15-year-old boy in prison for 15 months? Yeah. The boy was just crying. And I've seen so many situations like that. Unfortunately for us, our criminal justice acts provide for probation and community service, but we hardly make use of it. I read in the paper just yesterday that a man was brought to a magistrate court at Igbo Shere. What was his offense? He beat the chest of a policeman. When he was first arraigned, the magistrate gave him 200,000 naira bail and 2 shorties who must provide evidence of tax payment to Lagos State government. He couldn't meet the bail condition and he was remanded. But the next adjourned days, the magistrate, in her wisdom, made use of the provision that I just mentioned by saying, okay, now that you have agreed that you are guilty, you know, now you just sweep the court premises and go home. You know, those are the kind of things that we expect to be seen from time to time. Instead of keeping, you discover that when people come out from prison,
community service,
when people come out from prison, you know, even while in prison, they form gangs. You know, they form gangs because you will have mixed minors, somebody who stole onion, according to what the Attorney General said. People who stole onion, who stole laptop, you know, you mix them with hardened criminals. So by the time they come out, they become hardened. So eventually, the consequences will still be bear by the society. So we have to look at it holistically and do something about it. You know, it's not good.
Basuko, in Nigeria, I've forgotten the amount they say the budget per head. Each year I see it inside the budget and
for prisoner.
For prisoner, maybe 14,000 or there. No, it's higher than the minimum wage. I remember.
But per month. When you look at the way they treat these people, the atmosphere, you know, and you begin to see this alone is, we might go further in radicalizing these people instead of reforming
just
them.
Like the prisons are supposed to be where, like you called it, the correctional center or reformation center. But the prisons have ended up being where people are being radicalized the wrong way, you know. Because most of them I've happened to see like 1 or 2 prisoners. And if you look at them, the society has also rejected them. Because once they know that you're a prisoner, even your family members will reject you, you know, because you are coming looking haggard, you are coming not being yourself because they mixed you up with hardened criminals. So eventually people will not even want to accept you, you know. So, and that is why sometimes I give it to most of these religious bodies who go there to, you know, to try and encourage them, pray with them and all that, you know, so that once they come out, they become better people. Some of them even get jobs, you know. Because I remember there was a time Doja did a story, a special on, I think it was a 15-year-old boy that was, you know, awaiting trial for 14 years or thereabout, you know. When the guy...
part of his life.
Gone, because he was in prison all through. You know, when he eventually called his mom and everything, the woman almost shared because the woman has already given up that he's dead. You know, that he's no more, you know. So if you look at it, most of the criminals, most of the prison inmates that we have, most of them, if you look at some of the things they've been caught for and are awaiting trials, you will shed tears. You know, and some of them are young, 14, 15 to 25. And the fines might be as little as 4,000 naira. But they don't have this money. And one thing about even we, the society, when once they say, your brother is in prison, nobody wants to associate with a prisoner. So they will just allow the person to carry his cross. You know, so that is, just like Wahid said, we need to find a way to reduce these fines and involve the administration of criminal justice that brings about community service. When once is a minor or it defines the charges or the crime is very light, tell the person, go and sweep gutter, go and clean gutter, you know.
Or somebody that steals 15 naira in the market.
15 naira in the market.
Or steals
you know,
pepper or something to eat.
He can do that even in his community to act as a deterrent to others. It shouldn't just be any other place. If you do it in Ikeja, take the person around this area, let him be sweeping, and the prison warders will be there, and he'll do that for like a week or 2, so that we'll decongest our prison.
All right, moving on now. After relentless public outcry, police authorities in Nigeria decided to reform the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SAS. The reforms are still ongoing, but changing a notorious unit may be a kind of a Herculean task. However, the Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, appears resolute in giving the units a new face. he has vowed to sack any officer who refused to turn a new leaf. The IG specifically vowed to sack any SARS operative who checks account details of any suspects. How far can the police chief go on ending a unit already bent on perpetrating abuses? You go, you're riding a bike, the first thing they do,
Bring your phone.
and they search your pockets, search your inner pocket, bring your phone, and maybe you happen to, you're wearing a dreadlock, you're in trouble, you know. Some will even put scissors immediately. Different violation of human rights.
I think SARS needs drastic reformation. And we're happy about what the IG has said, but we should not be carried away. Because in 2017, in fact, December 4, the IG made the same statement. You know, it was the vice president that ordered just recently. But the same statement was made in December when there was this social media campaign, End SARS Now, that they were going to reform SARS, they were going to do all sorts of things, but these abuses still continue. And if you look at the way SARS was originally conceived in 1992 by one Simon Danladi, you know, he was the head of an anti-crime unit in Benin. The idea was to have a special unit, you know, that would deal with armed robbers.
Special anti-robbery squad. Shikina.
To deal with armed robbers using intelligence as the key weapon. In fact, when they started, they were using vehicles that were not marked. They were plain clothes. They will get information about armed robbers and then pass it on to the police. They will lay ambush because people will not see them, do not wear, you know. So when the armed robbers operate, there's no way you can discover that there's SARS there. You understand? Then they go into active, to operation, nab the armed robbers, arrest them, collect information from them. It was more or less like the FBI. And it was only in Lagos State, it was only in 2002 that began to spread to other parts of the country. So I think we need to go to the original design of how SARS, because it was, you know, it came with that idea because of the way it dealt with crime in Benin, you know, at that time. I think Atta was the IG, and then it was redeployed to Lagos when, you know, he now decided to start SARS. The idea was to have an organization like FBI that will act on information gathering, you know, and they use that for information to track crime. So not to have people that immediately you see them, you know, they are policemen. They are armed with sophisticated weapons, you know. They go from one street to the other, harassing people, intimidating them, you know. So I think it's not just enough to sack them. We have to look at, now they have a commissioner of police in Abuja. It means they are going to be controlled by just one person, which I think is still more or less like this kind of garrison, mentality, you know. So we need to decentralize the police force. It's not just SARS alone. We need to let the security be seen as a property of the people. It's not something that you need to dash them because it's about their own life. They must be involved. So it's not enough to say you want to sack people that are looking at people's phones and all that. SARS needs to be reformed. And that reformation must conform with democratic values and best practices that, you know, conform with global best practices. So I think I'm not impressed by what the IG has said. It needs to go further by ensuring that SARS becomes an organ that is controlled by democratic institutions.
Now, Kende is calling us from Lagos. Thank you for joining us, Kende.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening. Go ahead with your contribution, Kende.
Okay, yeah.
Go ahead, Kende.
Well, my take on this is that, my take on this is that the IG is just joking. No, this is not the first time they'll say things like this. They are aware of all the atrocities their men are doing, okay? And it seems that they get some sadistic joy from it. Never mind what they say in public. What happens is that as soon as these people do these things and you make a report, the police public relations officers at the federal level and at the state are already primed to jump to their defense. They know that what you have said is the truth, but they will come out and tell all sorts of lies. So this thing, you see, the country called Nigeria is a country that thrives on bloodletting. Bloodletting is state policy, let's face it. If they want to really address this thing, all they need to do is address all the petitions that have been written over the years.
Thank you. Looking at it, at a point in time, in some areas, it was almost like their job to run after these cyber criminals, this Yahoo, or popularly called Yahoo boys, and not to arrest them, to bring them to book or parade them in courts, but to arrest them with the hope of obtaining from them.
That was the beginning of their problem. Immediately they started acting outside their mandate. Like he rightly said, their mandate was to go after armed robbers. Later, when kidnapping became a big issue, they now added kidnapping as part of their mandate. Go after kidnappers, go after armed robbers. Using intelligence that you have gathered to work. But, all of a sudden, they started running after all these Yahoo boys because they know that they can easily get money from them. Yeah. Free money. Free money. There are some of them that even boast clients. That, they have regular money that they give out. There was one incident that happened somewhere about 2 years ago, somewhere in Agege, involving the Yahoo boys. What happened? A policeman came there to exhaust the guy, which was the normal practice. In the process, something went wrong, and the guy fired him, and that boy died. We have seen similar situation like that. Whereby they go after. The other day, a DPO came to my area and was addressing the youth, telling them that, look, if you wear dreadlock, it's not a crime. And I told them when he left, if you wear dreadlock and you look tattered, they will go after you. Don't mind whatever the DPO has just told you. Because that's the honest truth. They go after people. Once they see that you have a reasonable amount of money in your phone, they begin to ask you for money. They look for all manners of allegations that they will put on your head so that they will instill that fear. The more they instill that fear in you, you won't have any other. Because the Yahoo boys also knows that he's also into crime. He will have no other option than to play along with the policemen, which is what we have been saying. But I also like that aspect whereby the IG said that before you can operate in any state, you have to get clearance from the Commissioner of Police of that state, which was never like that before. But I just hope that it will match
with what with action.
Action with words.
Because this is the same IG that said he wants to withdraw police officers from VIPs, but up to now we are still seeing so that one is like it's impossible, But what I'm even looking at is we need the SARS guys. I know even when they were saying SARS, I had to ask my crime correspondent what she thinks. She said it's going to be very difficult because they are doing a good job, but definitely we'll always have bad eggs,
sure.
So we need them to rejig it. Thank God it is the vice president that came to give this standing order. If the IG is saying now, if they open my phone, anybody that is caught, any of the FSARS men that is caught should be dismissed. Let them be dismissed. We want him to begin to make scapegoats so that others will be able to. And then most of them need medical evaluation. They need to also, before you bring anybody and say he wants to be a SARS official, please let them go through the psychiatric test, so that they don't act outside the required law and the policies of the police. Because most of them, that is what they do. Opening of phones, opening of laptop is not their business. Their business is to look for armed robbers and to look for kidnappers. And that is what Nigerians want.
All right. I want to thank you, Asuko James. Thank you for being part of today's edition of Journalist Hangout. And Wahid Bakare, thank you so much for being part of the program. And Wale Adeoye, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hopefully, BKO will join us tomorrow. And that's it on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. And watch Journalist Hangout on our other platforms showing on the screen. We're also on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I am Ayobdele Ozubaku. Bye for now. God bless Nigeria.